And there's one for everyone in the house.
I thought they got that colour.
Oh, you're good to see you. I know that, but it's pressed, I put them off.
Come up and do it.
No.
A lot of work went into that there is, yeah. It's lovely. She's done a great job. Sweet dwellers.
Well, Hannah.
Well, Leo, are you taking our photo?
Of course I am. Let's go to the beautiful people first.
Oh, do you? That's Bernadette Larkin.
Who's her?
You're Brona McVie.
Joey. Joey.
Where's Patrick? Where's your husband?
He's babysitting.
Huh?
He's babysitting.
He's
It's the grandchildren.
Oh, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth McAllister.
Are you originally a Larkin?
No, I am originally a McGrath, but McGrath was my father, not my mother, a different McGrath. So my mother was Rita Larkin, who was the oldest, Joe Larkin, Joe and Mary Alice Larkin's oldest child. Well, I'm supposed to look like Mary Larkin, who's my auntie.
My sister Rosemary is not here, but she is Mary's. Not Mary's.
Yeah.
Mary has always been Mary's.
Yes. Well, I'm supposed to look like Mary Larkin. Leo Larkin.
Yeah, this is quite nice. Hi Gareth, I'm Gareth Keenan, I'm Mary McGrath's son.
He's my son. My mother was Rita Larkin from High Street. Rita. I don't think so.
Aye, Jet Rose, yeah. I'm Patricia Larkin, Joe's wife.
Your second cousin. Your father and my dad would have been first cousins. My dad was John Joseph. And that's Patricia McQuillan, who he married. And I'm her son.
Two sons.
That's
Here, you're not being DNA tested.
No, definitely not.
No.
I'm not sure, Mia.
The sense of humour is there. Yeah.
Leo, it's really good to see you. Leo, how are you?
These are all.
Do you want a speech or a joke or what did you want? I'll give you a wee number. Did you hear the one about your man, the big
you remember me from One Country Mates, Leo?
Yeah.
You don't?
I can't remember, you know,
You heard the one about the Celtic fella out watching the football night and he comes home, pisses on Friday, and the wife's giving off to him and she says, "You love Celtic more than you love me." He says, "Come here to I tell you," he says, "I love Rangers more than I love you."
My name is Joni Larkin, married to Bill Ross.
That would make you bad.
I'm Jackie's eldest daughter.
You're just old.
I am from Australia. Where you live?
Grange Valley. It's in Dunleer, in Louth.
Dunleer.
You're no southern. I'm a southern.
This is Shawnee.
see when the border goes up, there's another bank.
To be honest with you, listen, I don't know where I'm from. Where are we this evening?
We'll buy a ladder.
That man's normally in the top of the mountain all the time. Leo does all the mountain climbing he does. You have to be a friend for him, you will.
Yeah.
great. It's great. God, are you filming? Is that on now? Is that straight on?
It only gravitates towards beautiful people. Do something with your hair.
I knew he'd been here with that camera. I knew he would have been. Please.
How are you?
I'm good.
I know you're recording me now.
You enjoyed your meal anyway.
Thank you, I did. Yeah. How are you keeping? Yeah.
What have you done with your hair?
I'm letting it grow. When are you letting yours grow?
Right, stop.
You can know all the rallies, can't you?
Of course you are. Like a pigeon. You're keeping well.
I'm keeping well, thank God.
Yeah.
And you?
Never better.
That's great. I'm enjoying myself tonight, meeting all my cousins and my cousins' children and all their partners and all. And it's great. It's lovely. We should have done this years ago when they were here.
That was poor Paddy's funeral.
Let me all.
We only meet at funerals.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, Anita.
Hello.
What do you recommend the apple pie?
It's really, really good. Pastry is really short.
These are two great pies.
They are very good boys.
Thank you.
Where's your
Thank
dad?
you. He's at home.
Minding the goldfish.
What?
Minding the goldfish.
Hardly, I would go to that.
Twin brother.
When are we hitting Sleeve Gully?
Sleeve Gully.
That's only a small one.
I bought a quokka tomorrow.
Where?
Yeah.
Quokka.
Where's that?
The stairway to heaven.
Oh, is that big? Oh, are you?
And you're leaving it.
How long are you doing it?
I'm real tired.
Hey,
And who's this young lady?
this is Amy.
Amy Larkin. And the wife.
Oh, look, his sister. This is his wife here.
Well, who are you?
Brendan.
Brendan Larkin. No,
Ryan.
Yeah, Brendan Ryan. And you are Emma. That's your sister.
Yeah.
No, he's your brother.
Danny.
Ryan.
Hello. Greetings from the present.
Capture for Australia.
Oh, what's this man here? Here's the brew man in now.
Are you working?
Not at the minute, no. We're on the brew. You want to know where we work? And I said, no, we're on the brew. Are you doing the double? Get your head down. Yeah. I'm an investigator,
family. Other counties in which the Larkins are to be found mainly are Galway, Tipperary, and also, as I said earlier, Armagh. There was a branch of the family in Armagh with whom some of the Larkins of Wexford found refuge after the invasion of Wexford. Now, the branch of the family in Armagh, they descended from the clan from Oriel, Lurgan, who were the chiefs of Farney. Now, it's this Armagh branch of the family with which we're mainly concerned. So it's this Armagh branch of the family who I'm going to speak more about, since this branch of the family in Armagh is the source of our descendants. It's the source of the Larkin family descendants. Now, taking the story to more modern times, in the early to mid-19th century, there lived in South Armagh, and we believe it was Drummondtee in South Armagh, a man called Charles, or Charlie Larkin. Now, for the first time in my life, I found out that my great-great-grandfather's name was Charles, or Charlie, And in fact, we did better than that. Mary did better than that. She actually has a photograph of him there toiling away in the field. I didn't realise that there's a Charlie in the family. Okay, one of my brothers who can't be here, he's Charlie also. Now, little is known about Charlie Larkin's life, my great-great-grandfather. But, and I'm taking a bit of a punt here, it could be that he was connected in some way to the Labour leader, the great Labour leader, the Irish Labour leader, James Larkin. It could very well be that. Now, why do I say that? Well, James Larkin's grandfather's name, James Larkin himself, he grew up largely in Liverpool, but his grandfather's name was Barney. Okay. Now, Barney is a name that features regularly in the Larkin family history. So it could very well be, and I'm taking a bit of a risk in saying that there was a connection there. This gentleman here seems pretty sure that there was. Are you James as well? Okay, we've got another James in the family. So. Another James, my God, yeah. Hello. So one of your connections was James was a great Irish Labour leader who founded the Irish Labour Party. Okay? So, now, Charlie Larkin himself, again I say, there's not much is known about him, unfortunately. It'll require a bit more digging than I've been able to do recently. He went on to have a son in the 19th century who was called Joseph Larkin. And again, he's actually a fine looking bloke. There's a photograph of him on the wall there. He has sorry Joe, I meant the photograph up here. He's easily recognisable because he had a very well maintained moustache. Okay, a lovely big handlebar moustache. He's on the wall there. With his daughter Esther, who will say a little bit more about in the morning. Okay. Now, John Joseph Larkin, who was Charlie's son, a son of Charlie Larkin, he lived in Newry. He must have moved to Newry at some stage from South Armagh, and he lived in Thomas Street. Okay, he lived in a lady called Mary Ann Larkin. Now, very sadly, Mary Ann died at the age of 30 in 1897. What the cause was, I don't know, but the lady died early. Now, he had 3 known daughters. From that first marriage, John Joseph Larkin had 3 known daughters. The first, I think the oldest of the daughters, was Margaret Larkin. She married a gentleman called Tom Kelly. Now, Tom Kelly, for those of you who read the Irish news, or you'll see him on television sometimes, Tom Kelly, his grandson, is a prominent journalist, a columnist for the Irish news, and he's also a regular appearer on television. Now, the second daughter was Bridget Larkin, who married a guy called Mr. Martin. Okay. And then there was a third daughter, Mary, who married a gentleman called Mr. Rafferty, and whose daughter, Kitty Rafferty, eventually emigrated to Canada. Tom Kelly himself, the journalist, was good enough, and Mary rang him specifically last night. He was good enough actually to send me a photograph on the phone of Kitty Kelly in her kitchen in Canada. Okay? Because history seems to have a habit of repeating itself, because as most of you know, my Aunt Bernadette here and my Uncle Grazio, they spent many years, and my cousin Martin, they spent many years in Canada. Although John Joseph Larkin it seems that he was a foreman. While he lived in Newry, he was a foreman in a place called Lupton's Mill, which I looked up today on the internet. And apparently it was a soap manufacturer. It manufactured soap. Now, my grandfather, John Joseph, he was apparently a foreman in Lupton's Mill. And foreman or manager in Lupton's Mill, but later he was registered in the census, in the national census in 1911, as being a labourer. So it could be that with age, he had to take a job that was maybe a step down. That's what Tom Kelly told me last night anyway. However, even though he was, there was that side, he worked as a foreman. probably didn't get much of an education, but he must have been self-educated. He must have been intelligent enough and persevering enough to educate himself. Why do I say that? Well, it seems that he and the family, his daughters, were politically active. The obituary for his daughter Margaret in the 1950s, the newspaper obituary, it said that his daughter Margaret Kelly, who was born, of course, Larkin, it said that she had a robust nationalist outlook and came from a family who had distinguished themselves with strong Parnellite home rule sympathies. So it would seem that alongside making a living, he was actually able to get involved in politics in some way. So, you know, for a man with fairly humble origins, I think that's quite an achievement. Now, John Joseph Larkin, my great-grandfather, his second wife was a lady called Elizabeth Mulholland. And she originally hailed from Mike, the town of Mike in South Armagh. And with Elizabeth Mulholland, who later became Larkin, he had 4 children. He went on to have another 4 children with the second wife, Elizabeth. 4 children. There was Lily, there was Jackie, there was Barney, and there was Jim. Jim died young. Now, Barney, my great-grandfather also had another son called Bernard, or Barney. And his children are Eileen, Brian, and Geraldine. There was a sister who, and her photograph is beside, she's photographed beside my great-grandfather Larkin. She's a very attractive lady. You'll see her beside my grandfather Larkin. She was Esther, or Essie. And I see Carol here before me, and I see Damien there. Esther married a gentleman called Robert McGrath, and their children were Tommy, Bobby, Leo, Betty, Pat, May, Patricia, and of course Carla here, who I believe is the youngest. Yeah. Now, very happily, many of those names that I've mentioned in the room are sitting here tonight, and I'm delighted just to see so many people, you know, here and still alive with stories and around with stories to tell. Now, it's at this point, as I say, many of those names that I've mentioned are still with us tonight, thank God, and others we have very clear and happy memories of. Okay. My uncle Paddy, for example, he passed away around about 18 months back. Now, this is where I'm going to leave the history of the Larkin family, and as a group later on, over drinks and over chats, we can fill in some of the blanks which unfortunately I had to leave. Okay. It's been a great learning experience for me for the past couple of days. I've learned a lot about the family that I didn't know about. But like I said, there are many generations of us Larkins that we know little or nothing, and of whom, unfortunately, we'll never know. But I can't finish without some note of recognition for the work of our forebears, the Larkins, whose efforts gave us the life we enjoy today, and they're the reason for us being here tonight. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to say a poem. It's by the English poet Edmund Blunden, who was a First World War veteran, and it's simply entitled Forefathers. And even though it applies to all families, I feel that tonight it applies especially to the Larkin family. And it begins like this. Here they went with smock and crook, toiled in the sun, lolled in the shade. Here they mudded out the brook, and here their hatchet cleared the glade. Harvest supper woke their wit, huntsman's moon their wooings lit. From this church they led their brides, from this church themselves were led, shoulder high, on these waysides, sat to take their beer and bread. Names are gone, what men they were, these their cottages declare. Names are vanished, save the few, in the old brown Bible scrolled. These were men of pith and hue, whom the city never called. Scarce could read or hold a quill, but built the barn, the forge, the mill. Unrecorded, unrenowned, men from whom my ways begin. Here I know you from your ground, but I know you not within. All is mist, and there survives not a moment of their lives. Like the bee that now is blown, honey heavy on my hand, from the toppling tansy throne, in the green tempestuous land. I'm in clover now, nor know who made the honey long ago. Thank you very much, everybody.
These Larkins are terrible folk. They'll tease and mislead you while having a joke. They don't sow potatoes nor barley nor wheat, but a number grew wealthy by minding some sheep. At least when I asked them, that's what I was told. So I tried to get a job in the nearest sheepfold. But for all that I found there, I'd much rather be where the mountains of Mourne sweep down to the sea. I believe that when writing a wish you expressed as to how all the Larkin fine ladies were dressed. Well, if you are curious, just go to YouTube and you'll see they're inclined to have rather large boobs. And as for the men, some are big, some are small. They have pleasant, kind faces, but they do tend to go bald. Don't go starting those fashions now, Mary McCree, where the mountains of Mourne sweep down to the sea. You remember young Agatha Larkin so much. Well, now she is here at the head of the church. I met her today while crossing the Strand, and she blessed the whole street with a wave of her hand. And you know there are Larkins on more distant ground. They own half of Lurgan and much of Portadown. They're big into horses and markets, you see. They made a fortune selling hot food to the orange men at Drumcree. The descendants of Leo, Barney, Essie and Joe are many and numerous and great, don't you know? They've gone the world over to live life a bit easier. Canada, Australia, the US and Ibiza. But pinch every Larkin and beneath their success, there's so much more than about greyhounds and baldness and breasts. You'd want nothing more than their good company, where the mountains of Mourne sweep down to the sea.
You can look at the rest.
Who remembers me, Larkin spaghetti bolognese?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Here we go. Thank you.
Come on, learn to get each other.
Here we go. Everybody go.
Who's off all space? Make sure everybody's up in the middle of nowhere. That's okay, we pop 10 bucks.